Option. Listen. Geo. Geo. Speed up. Missile. Speed up. Opposite. Laser. Geo. Go. Option.
โ
Speed up. Speed up. Speed up. Speed up. Speed up. Mission. Speed up. Speed up. Speed up. Speed up. Speed up. Speed up.